Welcome to another journey through history, where we explore the fascinating, often difficult lives of people from the past. Tonight, we'll step back into one of the most influential civilizations in history, ancient Rome. Imagine yourself in the heart of the empire, surrounded by the sounds and smells of a city teeming with life. Yet, this bustling world is far from the polished grandeur you may have read about in textbooks. It's gritty, raw, and filled with the unseen challenges faced by the common people. As you listen to this story, allow the soothing pace of the narration to guide you, leading you into a world where comfort is scarce and survival is a daily struggle. In this first segment, we'll immerse ourselves in the daily life of ancient Rome, where the streets are crowded, the air thick with the scent of refuse, and every moment is defined by the hustle of an unforgiving world. Take a deep breath, relax, and let the rhythm of the past gently lull you as we explore a side of history that is often overlooked. Imagine yourself walking through the busy streets of Rome, feeling the pulse of this ancient city. Segment 1: Daily Life Immersion. The Why It Sucked to Be in Ancient Rome. The year is 50 BCE. You are standing at the edge of one of Rome's busiest streets. The clamor of the market surrounds you, merchants shouting, animals bleating, and the constant hum of conversation. Imagine the sound of your footsteps echoing off stone streets, worn smooth by centuries of traffic. The cobblestones, uneven and cracked, make walking a jarring experience, but the discomfort of your steps is the least of your concerns. The smell of the city is overpowering. It's not the clean, fresh air you might expect from a place of such power and influence. No, instead, the air is thick with the stench of refuse, human waste, and rotting food. Without a modern sanitation system, the streets are a constant mix of filth. The Tiber River, once a symbol of Rome's might, is now a dumping ground for the city's waste. It runs sluggishly through the city, its surface stained with the remnants of daily life. The odor is unmistakable, rank, sour, and all-encompassing. As you walk, your senses are assaulted from all sides. The heat of the day intensifies the smells, and the sun beats down on the rough stone walls that line the streets. Above you, the sky is hazy, filtered through the smoke rising from the fires that heat the public baths, the kitchens, and the various other open-air operations scattered throughout the city. The sound of metal clinking against metal as blacksmiths work on the corners fills the air, along with the occasional shout of a child or the creak of wooden carts hauling goods. You weave your way through the crowds, stepping carefully to avoid the piles of garbage that accumulate in the street corners. There's nowhere to escape the noise, the smell, the heat, and the hustle of daily life in Rome. With a population pushing 1 million, the streets are packed with citizens, slaves, and visitors from all parts of the empire. Everyone is in a rush, every moment a blur of movement, and yet there is nowhere to go to find solitude. The houses, if they can even be called that, are tightly packed into narrow alleys. The poor live in crowded, dark insulae, apartment buildings that rise high above the street. These structures are often no more than cramped, poorly lit rooms, sometimes with just a thin wall separating one family from another. In these buildings, privacy is a luxury few can afford. Your neighbors, just a few feet away, share the same space, same sounds, and same discomforts. The air inside is thick, stuffy, and stifling, made worse by the fact that many families have to cook and sleep in the same room. Outside, the city's infrastructure is rudimentary at best. The roads are not paved, and the lack of proper drainage means that the streets often flood when it rains, turning into a swamp of mud and refuse. Horses and carts make the roads difficult to navigate, and if you find yourself walking through the marketplace, You must dodge not only the animals, but also the refuse tossed aside by the vendors. The noise from the marketplace is deafening, with merchants haggling over the price of fish, pottery, and textiles. The air is thick with the scent of fresh bread baking in open-air ovens, mixed with the sourness of the nearby butcher's stall. Above all, there is a constant sense of insecurity. The streets are filled with thieves, pickpockets, and beggars. The wealthy live behind locked doors and high walls, but you, as a common citizen, have little protection. The security of the city is unreliable, and at night, the streets are even more dangerous. Law enforcement is minimal, and any justice you seek would come at a high price, if you can afford it at all. Yet, despite the squalor and danger, life in Rome goes on. The daily rhythm of the city is relentless, unchanging. For the poor, there is little respite, and every day is a battle for survival. But somehow, people endure. They adapt. You too would have to adapt, finding ways to navigate the crowded streets, the unsanitary conditions, and the ever-present threat of disease. Life, in its rawest form, continues, much like it has for generations in the heart of this great empire. As you walk through these ancient streets, take a moment to reflect on what it might be like to live in such a place. The struggle of daily existence in ancient Rome was both physically and mentally exhausting. There was no escape from the noise, the filth, or the sense of danger, and yet life persisted, as it always does. Now, let's take a step further into this world and explore the life of someone who faced the deepest hardships imaginable, a Roman slave who rose to power. Segment 2. Biography Event Narrative, the life of a Roman slave who rose to power. Imagine yourself now stepping away from the noise of the crowded streets, moving into a quieter, more personal story. The air feels heavier here, thick with the weight of years, decades, perhaps centuries of struggle. You find yourself in a small, dimly lit room. The faint scent of olive oil and bread lingers in the air, mingling with the mustiness of the stone walls. You sit across from a man whose life story has been anything but ordinary. His name is Epictetus. Epictetus was born around the year 55 CE, not in the splendor of the Roman elite, but as a slave. His story is one of survival, perseverance, and, ultimately, transformation. As a young man, he endured the cruel realities of slavery, living under the oppressive control of his master, a wealthy Roman senator. His early life was shaped by the brutality of Roman society, where the status of a slave was, for many, a lifetime of hardship and degradation. As you listen to his story, imagine the sensation of the rough chains that would have been worn around his wrists, the constant threat of punishment, and the grating monotony of life without freedom. Slaves like Epictetus worked in the homes of the rich, performing menial tasks, from cleaning and cooking to serving their masters. The work was hard, relentless, and often degrading. You can almost feel the exhaustion in the air, the tension that comes from being constantly under the watchful eyes of your owners. But Epictetus was different. Even in the midst of this harsh existence, he nurtured an inner strength, a quiet determination that would lead him to escape the bonds of his status. He began to focus on the one thing that could not be taken from him, his mind. He cultivated wisdom, learning the teachings of the Stoic philosophers, a school of thought that emphasized self-control, virtue, and resilience in the face of adversity. In the evenings, as the sounds of the bustling city faded into the distance, Epictetus would retreat into his thoughts, reflecting on his own existence. The smell of his master's villa, a mix of burning incense and oil, would fill the air as he meditated on the teachings of the great Stoic philosophers like Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. Through their wisdom, Epictetus came to realize that although he could not control his physical circumstances, he could control his response to them. He could find peace within himself, even in the most dire of situations. Imagine, if you will, the turning point in his life. It's a quiet moment, the kind that often goes unnoticed in the larger narrative of history. One day, as he worked diligently under the watchful eye of his master, Epictetus found the strength to rebel, not with violence, but with the quiet power of his mind. He would no longer let his circumstances define him. He found a way to communicate his desire for freedom, and through a series of fortunate events, he was eventually granted his liberty. With his newfound freedom, Epictetus didn't choose the life of wealth or luxury. Instead, he dedicated himself to teaching, becoming one of the most renowned philosophers of his time. His teachings centered on the Stoic belief that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from mastering one's inner thoughts, resonated with many even in the imperial heart of Rome. Picture yourself now, standing beside Epictetus as he teaches his students, his voice calm and measured, not loud or commanding, but steady and profound. The air around him is filled with the scent of fresh parchment and ink as he shares his wisdom. His ideas were revolutionary, not because they called for rebellion or grand gestures, but because they encouraged individuals to find power in the most unlikely of places, in their own minds. As you sit and listen, it's clear that Epictetus's journey was one of the most remarkable in Roman history. He rose from the depths of slavery to become a philosopher, teaching the empire about the nature of suffering, control, and inner peace. His life is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, showing that even in the most oppressive of circumstances, one can rise above, not through external victory, but through mastery of oneself. Now, as you absorb the calm wisdom of Epictetus, think about how his story might resonate with your own life. Just as he found strength in the most challenging of circumstances, so too can we find the quiet strength to face our own struggles. As the years passed, his legacy endured, with his teachings continuing to influence generations, reminding us all that true power comes from within. The life of Epictetus offers us not only a glimpse into the struggles of slavery in ancient Rome, but also a message of hope and endurance, a lesson that even in the darkest of times, one can find light. Now, let's step away from his personal story and explore the hidden underground world of Rome, the catacombs where the marginalized once lived, and where mysteries still remain buried beneath the city's surface. Segment 3. Mystery, Dachganj, Archaeology, Culture. Deep Dive, the underground world of ancient Rome. Imagine now stepping out of the bustling streets and quiet philosophical study, down into the depths beneath the city. You feel the coolness of the earth around you, and as you walk deeper, the atmosphere shifts. The air is damp and thick with the scent of centuries-old stone, mingling with the faint smell of decay and earth. Below the surface of ancient Rome, an entire world existed that most Romans never saw, a world hidden from the eyes of the rich and powerful, and often from the poor as well. This is the catacombs, the labyrinthine tunnels and burial chambers carved deep into the rock, stretching miles beneath the city. They are places where the dead, the forgotten, and the marginalized were laid to rest. Imagine the quiet echo of your footsteps against the stone, the cool stone walls pressing in as you wander through these ancient corridors. The further you go, the darker it becomes, save for the flicker of light from a small oil lamp in the distance. The catacombs of Rome were not just burial sites, they were places of refuge, of secret worship, and of community, for those who had nowhere else to turn. Early Christians, persecuted by the Roman authorities, often sought solace in these hidden chambers. To them, the catacombs were a sanctuary where they could worship in peace, away from the ever-watchful eyes of their oppressors. The smell of incense would occasionally rise in the air, carried on the cool drafts that moved through the tunnels as they gathered in the silence to pray and share their faith. But the catacombs were also a space for the dead. Imagine the quiet reverence that would have been felt as family members visited the tombs of their loved ones, the faint whispers of prayers hanging in the air. The bodies of the deceased were placed in niches, carved into the rock, or sealed in small stone chambers. On the walls, faded paintings and inscriptions tell the stories of the lives that were once lived. These images, though worn by time, still speak to you across the centuries, of families, of religious beliefs, and of an enduring desire to honor the dead. As you walk deeper into the catacombs, you may encounter larger burial chambers, where the remains of several individuals were placed together. These areas, though silent now, were once filled with the hum of life, of mourners, of priests, of those who lived on the edge of society. The air here feels different, as though the weight of history presses against you, urging you to remember those who came before. The catacombs are not just a testament to the Roman burial customs. They are a window into the lives of those who lived on the margins. The poor, the slaves, the Christians, and others who could not afford the grand tombs and lavish funerals that were the norm for the wealthy were given a place here in the earth. Their remains, though often forgotten by the records of history, are preserved in the quiet of these tunnels. Among the most striking features of the catacombs are the inscriptions that adorn the walls. Simple yet profound, they offer glimpses into the lives of those who pass through this subterranean world. There are prayers, simple wishes for peace in the afterlife, and words of love and remembrance. These inscriptions are written in Latin, the language of Rome, but their meaning transcends time and place. They speak to the universal human desire for connection, for remembrance, for something to carry us beyond the confines of our earthly lives. As you walk further, the darkness grows deeper. The silence in the catacombs is thick, broken only by the sound of your breathing and the soft rustle of your clothing. The further you travel, the more you realize that these underground chambers are not just a physical space. They are a repository of memory, of all those who have lived, loved, and died here. They are a testament to the resilience of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable adversity. And yet, despite their significance, much of what lies within the catacombs remains a mystery. Archaeologists have uncovered countless graves, but many others remain hidden, locked away in the depths, their secrets waiting to be revealed. The catacombs of Rome are vast, and though much has been explored, the full extent of this underground city is still unknown. There are areas that have yet to be fully mapped, and who knows what other secrets may be buried in the shadows, waiting to be uncovered by future generations. The catacombs also remind us of the fragility of life. While the grand temples, baths, and villas of Rome may have crumbled over time, these subterranean chambers have remained, preserving the stories of the ordinary people who lived and died beneath the bustling city. The quiet, constant rhythm of life below ground offers a stark contrast to the noise and chaos above. It's a reminder that while history may be written in grand monuments and the actions of great men, it is also shaped by those who lived in the shadows, whose names were never recorded, whose lives were never celebrated. Now, as we leave the silence of the catacombs behind, we step back into the light of the Roman world, but we carry with us the memory of those who have come before. The catacombs are a place of quiet reverence, a place where the past lingers in the air, reminding us that history is not just written in books, it's also found in the hidden spaces, the forgotten corners of our world. Let's now shift our focus to a very different world, the world of Rome's elite, the rich and powerful who lived in stark contrast to the common people. Imagine the opulence and grandeur of their homes, their feasts and their parties, as we explore the lavish side of Roman society. Segment 4: Social Elite Contrasting Daily Life, the lavish world of Rome's elite. As we step away from the shadows of the catacombs, where the poor and marginalized once lived and died, let us now move into the grand, sunlit halls of Rome's elite. Imagine yourself standing in the courtyard of a grand villa, far removed from the noise and chaos of the crowded streets. The air here is cool and fragrant, filled with the scent of fresh flowers from the perfectly manicured gardens. Birds sing softly in the trees, and the soft rustle of leaves in the breeze is a stark contrast to the hustle of life below. This is a world of luxury, wealth, and comfort, an entirely different existence from that of the common citizen. You step inside a villa, the marble floors cool beneath your feet. The walls are adorned with beautiful mosaics depicting scenes of mythology and triumph. The rooms are spacious and filled with the finest furniture, plush couches, wooden tables, and delicate vases from far-off lands. The soft glow of oil lamps casts a warm light on the stone walls, creating a calm, almost dreamlike atmosphere. The air here feels different, less oppressive, more serene. It is filled with the sounds of laughter, music, and the gentle clinking of glasses as the elite of Roman society indulge in their leisurely pursuits. Imagine the rhythm of a well-crafted lyre, the soft hum of conversation, and the occasional burst of laughter that echoes through the marble halls. The luxury of this world is undeniable, but it is also a world that feels distant, almost otherworldly when compared to the crowded streets and grim realities below. The banquets held in these villas are a sight to behold. Imagine a long table covered with fine cloth, laden with exotic fruits, freshly roasted meats, and bowls of olives, bread, and wine. The guests are dressed in the finest tunics, their faces glowing with satisfaction as they partake in the abundance before them. Wine flows freely, its rich red color filling ornate goblets, while attendants rush around, ensuring that every need is met. The food is more than just sustenance. It is a symbol of status, of power, and of indulgence. These lavish parties are not simply for eating and drinking. They are events of social and political importance, where alliances are forged, deals are made, and reputations are built. Imagine the conversations filled with subtle political maneuvering and discussions of business and power, while the common citizen struggles to make ends meet. These elite Romans live in a world where every day is an opportunity to reinforce their status and wealth. The rhythm of their lives is measured by these gatherings, social occasions that reinforce their position in society. Yet, beneath the opulence and luxury, there is an undercurrent of tension. The wealth of the elite, as extravagant as it may seem, comes at a price. The vast fortunes of these families are built on the backs of slaves, and the power they enjoy is maintained through the exploitation of the lower classes. The villas may be beautiful, but they are surrounded by the poverty and squalor that make such luxury possible. The disparity between the lives of the rich and the poor in Rome is stark and cannot be ignored. As you walk through these luxurious halls, you can almost feel the distance between this world and the one outside. The marble columns and gleaming floors are a world apart from the cramped insula, the noise, and the filth of the streets. The contrast is so striking that it's difficult to imagine that both these worlds exist in the same city, under the same sky. The elite of Rome have access to the finest food, the most beautiful artwork, and the most prestigious intellectual and artistic circles. They attend grand theater performances, enjoy plays and poetry, and hold discussions with philosophers, poets, and artists. Their villas are adorned with statues of gods and emperors, the walls decorated with paintings that depict the triumphs of Rome and the greatness of their ancestors. To live in such luxury is to be constantly reminded of the power and glory of the Roman Empire. However, even in this world of wealth, there is no true escape from the pressures of Roman society. The elite are constantly under the watchful eye of the emperor and the political machine that governs Rome. Their wealth may shield them from the daily struggles of the common citizen, but it also exposes them to the dangers of political intrigue, betrayal, and the relentless pursuit of power. Imagine the tension that lingers in the air during those grand banquets, where every conversation might reveal a hidden agenda. Every smile might conceal a rivalry. In many ways, the elite of Rome live under a different kind of stress. While they are free from the grinding labor and constant struggle of the lower classes, they are trapped by their own wealth, their status, and the expectations that come with it. The fear of losing their position, the pressure to maintain their wealth, and the constant competition for power can make their lives just as exhausting as those of the common people, albeit in a different form. As you step back from the villa, the contrast between the world you have just left behind and the harsh realities of the streets and catacombs of Rome becomes ever clearer. The lives of the elite may seem enviable from the outside, but they are not without their own set of challenges. The disparity between the two worlds, the lavish luxury of the rich and the grim existence of the poor, was one of the defining features of Roman society. The vast difference in daily life between these two classes reflects the deep divisions that existed within the empire. The elites lived in a world of abundance, while the common people struggled for survival. Yet, both groups, in their own way, shaped the course of Roman history. The poor may have lived in the shadows, but they were the backbone of the empire, providing the labor and the foundation upon which the Roman world was built. The rich may have held the power, but it was the labor and struggles of the common people that made their opulence possible. As you reflect on these contrasting lives, imagine how the streets of Rome must have felt, a city of extremes, where every step you took brought you closer to the heart of a civilization that was both magnificent and deeply flawed. With that, our journey through the world of ancient Rome comes to an end. We've explored the gritty realities of daily life, the rise of individuals against all odds, the hidden depths beneath the city, and the stark contrast between the lives of the rich and poor. These stories, though separated by time, remind us of the complexities of human existence, of the constant struggles, the quiet triumphs, and the inequality that marks every society. As we close this chapter, take a moment to reflect on the lives of those who lived in this ancient empire. The richness of their experiences, their challenges, and their victories are not so different from the struggles we face today. And as you drift off into sleep, let the peaceful image of a world so far removed from our own lull you into a gentle rest, knowing that history, with all its complexities and contradictions, will always remain with us. This concludes our journey through ancient Rome. Rest well, and may you carry the lessons of history with you as you continue your journey tomorrow.